Hey guys, thank you so much for taking your time to click on this link and just spend a few minutes with me in this video. There is something awesome I want to celebrate, so really, I do appreciate it. Hi, my name's Cassie, for those of you who don't know me. And I am a divine alignment coach, but what I want to speak to you about today is not really anything to do with my professional business, although it does relate to it in a non-direct way. This is something I just really want to celebrate, and today marks a day where I have been loving myself unapologetically for 365 days. Whoop whoop! I am so stoked, and I had to share it because today marks a day where I'm going to start getting my story out to people because, you know, we need inspiration sometimes to love ourselves, to take permission. And sometimes other stories, I know I've done it in my life, other people's stories really resonate with me and just make me think, man, I'm going to do that. And when I take those action steps and inspired by someone else, they really help. And so I just want to share my story. 365 days ago, wow. I am so proud to have got it. I am celebrating this more than I celebrate my birthday. I even have a little cake here. Woo. It's grain-free, paleo, dairy-free, all sorts of goodness. I am really excited. I've had like 5 slices of that already today, so I'm kind of like wired from the from the cocoa in it. But I just really want to share my story and say it is possible to transform your life through self-love. Yes, my journey was 365 days. I was kind of going it alone, but I needed that. The place where I was 366 days ago, I was negative, I hated myself, I doubted myself, I compared myself. I was just a fucking victim, man. I was always saying, why do they have this and why do they have that and I don't have this and how come she gets that and why does she look like this? I was just telling myself the freaking story over and over again that I wasn't good enough. And so when I decided that, you know what, this really isn't serving me, it's not making me feel good, I just want to give it up. So even though I had started my spiritual journey of awakening 3 years prior to that, I really still wasn't there with loving myself. You know, I was there with everything else, like be non-judgmental, but if I couldn't be non-judgmental to myself, then was I really being true to others when I wasn't being non-judgmental? You know, it kind of all fits in. So I decided to give myself the challenge of loving myself every single day. And it was freaking hard, man. Like, it was so hard at first. It was so interesting to hear all my default settings of not loving myself and not appreciating myself and putting myself down and keeping myself hidden and in that box of destruction and toxic negativity. It was so obvious and revealing, and I had to fight that. I had to keep stepping up every day and finding what I loved about myself and what I was good at, and, you know, just the positives instead of the negatives. I mean, it's way easier, like 100%, it's way easier to find faults and be lazy instead of stepping up and pushing yourself and being positive. Like, it is hard to show up for yourself every day. But I kind of got there, and there were days when I hated myself, but because I chose to love myself, as soon as I had those thoughts of like, I'm not good enough, or I doubted myself or anything, there would be this kind of click, and I would be like, okay, why am I thinking that? What's triggering me, and how can I change that? And it was just really interesting because thinking of those thoughts over and over again helped subconsciously imprint that loving myself every day. And I teamed it with other things like meditating and journaling, and the 2 biggest things that probably got me through were journaling. Like, my journal is my best friend. It's like it's just like my dialogue to myself, which I can just let everything out on, and reading it back, it's like my inner guide coming out about my truth. And the other thing that I've stuck to religiously every day for 365 days was body brushing. And it's a really weird one because it's body brushing. But what it made me do was, as I was body brushing, I would say loving affirmations to every part of my body. And that's where loving myself really started to connect, and the subconscious self-love started to really filter into my life. I had a really big disconnect thinking that my body was this and that and I was fat and blah, blah, like really, really toxic behavior, okay? And as I started to body brush every day and love myself, those toxic behaviors and thought patterns slightly went away because I was loving myself first thing of the day. So my default thought pattern of that day was one of love, not one of lack or hate. And slowly over time, as I started to do the body brushing, the affirmations, and a lot of other spiritual work, my life started to change dramatically. So today, I got my own business, something that I never thought I would ever be able to do in a foreign country. I have my perfect ideal body for me without dieting, without extreme exercising, two of the things that I used to be a really big fan of. My relationships with my boyfriend and my friends and my family are so much deeper and real because I know who I am and I know what my truth is and I believe and trust in myself. And that was one of the biggest things that brought me really, really solid, amazing relationships. So what I want to say to you is if you find yourself out of sync with yourself and not loving yourself and appreciating everything you have in every way, then ask yourself, who could I be if I loved myself? What would my life look like if I just believed and gave myself that attention and permission to be who I really am? How would your life change? What would it look like? Would you have more time with your family? Would you have a happier outlook on life? Would your business be booming? Would you go for that job opportunity? Would you ask for that raise? Would you ask that guy out? Would you ask that girl out? What are the possibilities? What are the possibilities open to you when you love yourself? Because this is something I didn't even think of before I started. I just knew I wanted to get out of my head of hating myself. But loving myself has really opened up these opportunities to me and amazing miracles have happened along the way. I've met so many amazing people who have just helped me on my journey, and I know that's because I love myself enough to give it to myself now, to give myself permission to have these friendships that challenge but also make me grow and support me, to do things every day that make me step out of my comfort zone. And so I just want to celebrate with you and thank you for watching this and just celebrate you. Like, you are amazing. You have got this. Life is here to be explored and experienced to its fullest capacity. And you can do that. And you are more than capable of doing that. Okay? So thank you so much for spending this 7 minutes with me. Thank you for listening to my story. If anything's resonated with you, I'd love to hear it. Comment below, add me on Facebook, like my page, and I would just love to help support you on your journey of becoming divinely aligned with yourself and living the best life you could ever imagine by just saying, yes, I love myself. I love you lots and talk to you soon. Bye.